Hello everybody, this is Scott back again with some more Total War Warhammer. This time I'm actually going to play some Warhammer from the beginning, not for like a whole game, that would take dozens of hours, but mostly just to kind of ease new players into the Total War Warhammer experience. Just a brief bit of background. I've talked about this game a couple times on my channel, talked about it endlessly in real life. The thing about this game is I never really got super into Total War. I always loved the concept, but something about Warhammer, maybe the fantasy setting, really grabs me. So without further ado, let's jump in here and we're going to click on New Campaign. And here you can see the Grand Campaign is the default. So it's what comes out of the box by the vanilla version of the game. This game came out early in the year, April, I think. So since then we've got the Beastmen, Beast Lords, and they came with their own campaign, although they're also a faction on the Grand Campaign as well, and they're playable there as well. And then the Wood Elves, same story. You can play them with this fancy standalone campaign. If you purchase them, they're like 20 bucks, I think, 19 bucks for the Beastmen, and then 20 bucks for the Wood Elves. But I mean, you get a whole other campaign. You get to play as them on the main campaign. They have their own research, their own technology, buildings, play style, units, heroes, quests, all that. So it's not like it's a terrible value, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet myself. Now, and mostly because there's so much content just in the game. Let's just take a look. Alright, here's where we can pick the faction we want to play the Grand Campaign as. Now, Empire, it's your humans. You got your steam tanks, you got your knights, you got your wizards. Dwarves, no magic, but very heavily armored, powerful units, no cavalry. One addition they've added is being able to play as a different dwarf faction with a hard initial challenge instead of the normal easy challenge. Dwarves are probably the easiest starting race because they don't have to deal with things like magic and cavalry. But their units are crazy good, heavily armored and very, very reliable. Tough to break, lots of morale. We'll show you the Wood Elves. You can pause and read through this stuff if you want. Again, like the Dwarves, they have a second faction start. So if you're playing co-op, you could actually both players could pick different dwarf clans and play together. Actually, back up. Just so you're aware, you can play as any faction with your friend, and it'll work fine. It's just that some factions, you know, you're closer together and can actually help each other out. You got the Greenskins. These are your orcs. And again, you have a second Greenskin faction to choose as. This is a hard challenge. Most normal out-of-the-box factions are just normal challenge, except dwarves. And then the Bloody Hands is you get a third challenge that didn't exist before. Vampire Counts. They're your undead faction. They're a lot of fun. I like these guys a lot. They have a normal start. They have a kind of a fun play style, a lot of magic, a lot of crazy units. Warriors of Chaos are fun. They don't have settlements. They roam, much like the Beastmen, I'm told. And then you sort of just devour area and destroy and pillage and build up your troops when you encamp. So let's do a dwarf campaign real quick, just to sort of show off how some of this works.
Send me to vengeance.
Alright, pardon my beverage opening. So what we got here is you pick a faction leader. There's actually
I am the Slayer King.
there's a legendary lord you choose, and there's 3 or 4 for every faction. They all have their own unique skill tree. They level up. They have their own unique quests for their different legendary weapons and things like that as the campaign unfolds. Everybody has each legendary leader has different bonuses, which kind of contribute to a specific play style for that faction. But as you play the campaign, you'll actually unlock the other 2 guys eventually. So you can eventually have all 3 legendary lords on the field at once. So I'm going to pick, I like this guy here. Powerful melee fighter. He's just a badass. He just runs right at enemies and just screams and takes them all down. He starts with long beards, which are very powerful high-end axe infantry. Thunderers, very, very powerful. They have rifles. And Slayers, which can be... I haven't played Dwarves in a while. Last time I did, unless they've patched it, they're very, very easy to lose, Slayers, because they don't break. They just go crazy. What do they got? Unbreakable. They never lose morale, which means they never flee, which means that they usually get wiped out if you don't keep an eye on them. What else we got here? Oh. This guy is not available yet, because he was a magazine ad for the White Dwarf magazine. And if you got that magazine issue from like November, you could redeem it, get this guy right away. If you didn't, which I didn't because they don't sell that magazine hardly anywhere in the States, you had to wait. Okay, well, I had to put a cut in there because I was digging around through Steam to see if this guy's available, and it doesn't look like he is yet. So, you got two options basically for the dwarves. You have this guy here. He's a powerful leader, and he's kind of, I mean, he's a badass in the field too. You can fight with him. You can actually specialize, like spec out your leaders and your lords as you're leveling them up to be great leaders and have bonuses to all their armies, or have personal bonuses to make them more powerful in fighting, and they can become just about unstoppable. So let's do this. I like having a grudge thrower, slinger, catapult. Quarrelers are some of my favorite units in the game. They're some of the best missile infantry in the game because not only are they deadly with their quarrels, crossbows, but they're competent. Like they're better in melee than a lot of first tier melee units are. And hammerers are just incredible. And he makes things cheaper to construct, and his longbeards and hammers are cheaper to maintain. So we're gonna pick him. And we can pick the difficulty here for the campaign overall. And you can make it crazy hard. I can't even manually save on legendary difficulty. And I think you can actually go into settings here and do some specific settings as well. Battle realism mode, which removes some of the quality of life things like mini maps, time limits, and things like that. We'll just play on normal. I'm not going to play for more than a couple turns. I just want to kind of show off Total War and setting up a campaign, showing you the flow of that. Let's get this going. I'm going to just skip past this cutscene because it's really a cool cutscene and it's worth watching for your first time playing. All the factions have a neat cutscene, I think. And let's just get into the game. Get a little bit of information there in the backstory. The timeline of the Warhammer universe, where this all takes place. Okay.
Karaza Karaki secure, my lord High King. Faced with your terrible wrath, the brings...
I'm going to skip past that guy, but he will kind of walk you through some initial objectives. Those Total War games have always been kind of cool about doing that, or not always, but in my experience, very, very, very recently they have been doing it. And they kind of walk you through some initial, hey, this neighbor is kind of a friendly guy, and this guy's at the south needs to be taken out immediately, and that sort of thing. So right off the bat, I get my first grudge. Dwarves have a grudge system, and it's unique to the dwarves. They have the Book of Grudges, and if you don't cross those grudges off, your dwarves start getting angry, upset. And other dwarven factions will actually like you less as well. So the first thing we have to do is defeat an army belonging to the Bloody Spears. We'll get 1,000 gold, and we will get we'll reduce this a little bit, which we're fine right now. Actually, we're golden right now. People are actually so happy that we get a bonus to diplomatic relations with dwarves, and our public order is at +1. So I guess let's start with public order because that's I just said it. So if you were to, can I close this guy? I don't want to talk anymore. All right. If you hover over your cursor over a city, and I only have one city currently under my command, this Karazakrak. And you'll notice my gold from the city is 203. I'm making 1,670 a turn. 203 of that's from taxes. That's the taxes from the city. Everybody across the board always has 2,500 kind of background income. I don't know why I did quotes. You can't see the quotes. And then we're getting 55 from trade. We must be doing some. We must be doing some trade with somebody. Our army costs 1,088, leaving us with 1,670 per turn. We also have this modifier, which is satisfied. We're getting that from the Book of Grudges. Alright, let's see what else we got here. Public order is being reduced. Taxes are giving us -4. We're getting +1 from this right here. And we're getting 2 from buildings. So that's going to give us -1. That's not ideal. If we get to -100 or public order, rebels will spawn and we'll have to fight the rebels. So we want to avoid that. This banner, which again is available when you hover your cursor over the city name, also provides the garrison size at a glance and unique abilities. This is actually the capital, but also it's got gemstones. So let's click on this banner. And here we've got the buildings. And you can actually see there's 2 other cities, fortresses, keeps, within this province. Right there. You can click on them and get right to them. You click on the garrison details right here and see what the garrison is. We got miners, longbeards, hammers. Garrisons are very important because they don't cost upkeep and they protect you from AI attacks when your main army is too far away. So we can build things. I actually find it to be kind of nice to have the building browser set up. I don't actually know why this is grayed out. I've never seen that before. That's weird. We'll come back to that. So let's take a look at the map. And here's our province right here. And you can see the pillars of Gumji are being controlled by the Bloody Spears right now. And we want to take those out to have the whole province under our control. And this overlay is really cool. I've always thought this was one of my favorite parts of the game. Being able to zoom out, see the whole map, what we've explored of it so far. We have quite a few factions we begin the game knowing, but most we don't. You can actually click on some filters here. Let's look at the diplomatic status. So we're at war with the Bloody Spears, Greenskins, all the orcs. We're just at war with them immediately. That's going to get the action going quick. Attitude. We're friendly, looks like, with these dwarven factions. So we might want to start trading with them right away, if we aren't already. And then here we got wealth. You can see we only have 1 province, so that's not very useful right now. Public order, see it's a little on the low side because we're at -1 per turn. Our growth is really well. So speaking of growth, let's just back out of this and talk about growth. Alright, growth, +20, 0 out of 100. What is growth? As this number goes up, population surplus goes up. You spend 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever population points you need to upgrade this. This is going to be an outpost. This is an outpost right now. If I had 2 population points and 3,200 gold, I can make it a keep, and etc. and etc. Now let's take a look at the building browser, which is returned for some reason. You can see right now I'm at tier 2 outpost. If I had 2 population points and some money, I could become a keep, which would unlock the ability to get these items or these buildings here, assuming I'm at the prerequisites below them. So that's really all there is to that. It's kind of cool because every single city, not every single, quite a few of the cities in this game have unique buildings. For example, this city, Karaz, had the gemstones, and here's the gem mine shaft, which I don't think I have it built. I should be building it. So let's do that. I got one available building slot. You get more slots as you follow this path up here to upgrade your keep. So I can upgrade my barracks, which will unlock quarrelers and great weapon quarrelers if I were to also have an armory. And I really would like to get the gemstones up and running because it's another 300 gold a turn, which is quite a bit more than I'm making now. So let's do that. Gemstones. It's 1,000 gold. Let's also upgrade this for another 1,800 because I want to be able to get more quarrelers in my army. Now, while that's going, let's look at my starting army. I have 7 units out of 20. And that means I got 60 quarrelers, 75 miners, and of course it's Total War, so this is represented by that actual number of actual miniatures, models on the battlefield. Dwarven warriors are kind of our mainstay army. If you click on them, you'll be able to keep this information panel up since you clicked. You can see all the cool little bonuses they get. They get a charge defense against large creatures coming at them. They're resilient because they're dwarves. They're dwarves, so they're hard to hurt with magic. They have a ton of armor. Dwarves are the most heavily armored units in the game. Even their weakest units, miners and dwarf warriors, have like 80 points of armor, which is crazy. They have high leadership, which is important because you don't want your leadership to break. That's when your units flee and run away. But what we've got here is miners, who are melee guys, pickaxe infantry. We got warriors, we got hammers. Pretty solid, but we have 2 quarrelers and we've got some grudge throwers. So we're gonna want more melee to protect our quarrelers and our grudge throwers. So while we're sitting here, I'd love to just go take this guy on. But the problem is, if I go attack him, I'm pretty sure he'll flee back here to the pillars, and they do have a garrison. It's not much, but this 6 units in this stack plus this garrison, that's more than I can take right now. So let's just immediately go to recruit units. We could also recruit units of renown, but I don't have any unlocked. This is one of the things that was added with the expansion packs, the $8 expansion packs. There's 2 $8 expansion packs. I forget the names of them. But one of them adds units of renown for dwarves and vampire lords, and the other one adds them for greenskins and humans. And as you're leveling up your character, your main lord, you are unlocking the ability to get basically named and slightly more powerful versions of, like, dwarven warriors and, miners and things like that, all the way up to, like, top tier unit versions of your guys. But for now, we're going to stick with recruit units because that might be all you have access to if you've only just bought the game and no expansions. So what we want is we want more dwarven warriors, and I like dwarven warriors better than miners because they're just, well, they're better in most every way. Although miners are kind of cool because they're good against gates. So we're going to go ahead and get some dwarven warriors. 1 turn for those. We're going to go ahead and look at the technology next. So every faction has a unique research tree. It's amazing. It's very cool. So in the case of dwarves, you got 2 paths. Kind of the military path and then kind of the empire path. This is going to be giving us the top. Oh man, I did that backwards. The empire path's on top. The guilds. It's got your empire stuff like better taxes and heavy more growth, things like that. And the warrior stuff makes your units cheaper and more powerful. One thing I like to do a lot. In 3 turns, we are going to have upgraded our barracks to be able to get quarrelers. And if we research this now, we'll be able to save a little bit of money when we recruit those quarrelers, and it will lead to things like more ammunition, which is really important. At least for the way I like to play dwarves. Okay, next up we got diplomacy. I think the diplomacy in this game is excellent because it kind of makes sense typically when you're working with other people and they're angry at you for something. You can find out exactly what they're upset about. You can hover over these little attitudes. You saw me sort by attitude. I want to go down here and look at the people who like me the best, and that is actually these guys right here. Barak Var. We're fast friends. We already have a non-aggression pact in place. We already have military access. Let's initiate diplomacy with them.
Kin. Let us feast and drink.
We're friends, so they have friendly things to say to us. We have a pretty decent chance of a defensive alliance if we were to, kind of pop in there with that. We could try it. Yeah, accepted. That's cool. Turn 1, we got a defensive alliance with Barak Var, which means we got to help them too. And if we don't, other factions will note that, and that'll be bad. So let's take a look here. We've also got a trade agreement with them right here as well. So if you sort by trade, I like to do trade stuff. You'll see it. There's all this little icon here. That's because we've got blocks in place. There's just no path, no route from the capital. So I'll have to clear out some more space before we can start trading. All right, let's take a look next at objectives. The long campaign victory. Controlling all of these factions. The short campaign is just easier to pull off. I have never even come close to completing a campaign. I have a ton of fun playing this game, but after like 20 hours or so, I'm just eager to just start over again with a new faction. So I have no problem with that. Book of Grudges. Like I said, this is unique for the dwarves. The interface actually looks different for dwarves. Everything from like all the little hammers here and this, like, all the UI stuff is different for every faction. It's really, I love it. It's very cool. So you can zoom out One little tip I will provide is if you go to your options menu and go to cameras, where's it at? Game settings? No, I don't think it was game settings. I think it was maybe controls. Yeah, I like the classic Total War camera for the campaign better than the standard camera. But it's worth playing with, to each his own. Alright, let's end the turn, because I want to get into a battle before I end the video. And the turns go by very quickly when you're playing on your own. We can see some movement there. That's alright. Now, we've got enough guys that we can probably rush over here and try and take this guy, so I'm going to go for it. And he'll probably run. Oh, he didn't run. Now, you can auto-resolve, and normally I would auto-resolve this fight, but when you're learning to play, and this is kind of a key thing, when you've got a big advantage, just fight it out. Get used to moving your guys around in the battlefield. There's a fantastic tutorial in the game that I recommend you go through because it walks you through, like, how to do the little things like how to control your formations and how to, you know, set things up and what key strokes do what. Half the stuff, I should probably go through the tutorial again. I probably forgot half the stuff that was in there. But we have a big advantage here, so this shouldn't be too embarrassing for me here. I'm by no means an expert on this game, by the way. I probably should have started with that. I am not an expert in Total War Warhammer, but I played it quite a lot. I enjoy the crap out of it. Okay, so I like to hold the middle mouse button around and sort of zoom around the battlefield. Let's just kind of get in here and look. They've got... You can see their banners. They got an archer type, which are orcs. They got some orc biggins. These guys are a bit of a threat for us, but our dwarf warriors will make short work out of them. In fact, clicking on them, you'll notice they have 50 and 30 armor. That's quite a bit less than you saw my dwarves have. Some archers. Alright. And they got a leader. Nashrak. He's a hero, a lord. You need a lord to lead an army. Alright, so let's do this. They're going to come at us. I'm going to grab everybody. I'm going to run formations. There's only two formations. Missiles in front or missiles in back. Let's put missiles in front. And let's see, where are they at? They're going to... I don't want these guys here. I want to be able to cross this direction right here. Alright, so let's do this. Alright, and then we're going to take this guy and put him over here, because I want them to be able to quickly jump in the front if we need to. These grudge throwers are going to actually be able to serve us well in this fight, because we'll be able to sit there and throw rocks at them until they come at us, and when they get close, we'll have our quarrelers sort of take them out. Let's see how it goes. Alright, I'm going to move. Oh, they are actually moving. They're actually moving into place. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to pause the game here. Hit tab. I like this view a lot. And if you put your cursor over the grudge thrower, you'll see the range is just incredible. So let's try to get him bombarding. And then we're going to go ahead and hit tab again. And we're going to resume. Quarrelers doing their thing. Let's make a line. So let's make a line of guys facing the right direction. Let's get my guy up there. He's a badass. He's being carried around by his dwarves on his throne. Alright, let's get in there. Alright, we're gonna have them keep on taking out these guys. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. You're a melee guy. Go get the leader. You fight the leader also. Let's have these guys start bombarding right here. Alright, let's just pause things, take a look at what's going on, so I can explain what I'm doing. Alright, I am having both Quarrelers. You can see by the red lines when I hover over them. I'm having both Quarrelers focus fire on these orcs. Now, the top bar is their overall health. It's half gone, because they've taken some losses, they got some bodies laying there on the ground. The second bar is their morale, and as you can see, it's dipping. If I put my cursor over them, they're shaken. They've taken damage, they're actively taking fire, they've lost half their forces, and they're shaken. I believe that third one is ammo. They haven't used much ammo. So I'm going to just keep hammering them, and they're going to break. And once they do, I'm going to try and pay attention so I can have them do... I'm going to then have them focus fire my Quarrelers, take these archers out. That will completely cripple their ability to support their own troops. Meanwhile, you'll notice I've got my miners fighting Orc Biggins. That's less than ideal, because Orc Biggins are better. But I also have these warriors supporting them. So I've got 2 on 1, basically. Now there's quite a few Orc Biggins. They have 74 guys in the stack, and I only have 70 miners and 70... You know what? I don't know what I was thinking. That's plenty. We have mount number 2 to 1. That's going to be fine right there. I got my Grudge Thrower. Also hammering these guys. And we've got a big fight happening right here. Let's pause and watch. There's a rock over there. Alright, now these guys are broken. So let's switch targets. These guys aren't a threat anymore. They're fleeing. They may come back, but until they do, we don't care. These guys are going to break very quickly. The Grudge Thrower throwing rocks at them as well. And they've already broken. Let's support these guys over here with some corals. And let's support these guys over here. And you can see we're winning. We're doing well. In fact, let's take a pause and explain a little bit of the user interface here. You're going to see right above the unit cards, a little icon, which I find super handy. It's the little what they're doing icon. The Quarrelers are firing, Grudge Throwers firing. The Miners are losing. They're in melee losing, but that's because they're fighting Orc Biggins, which are statistically better than them. However, these guys are not losing as much. They're orange. This is like an orange fighting symbol. The red fighting symbol means that they're getting their asses kicked. Winded. Damage sustained. Unit losing. Combat is even with orange, I guess. These guys, these Dwarf Warriors, conversely, are winning. They have a little green fighting icon. And they are in melee, unit winning slightly. So is this guy, Thorgrim Grudgebear. He's winning. These hammers are getting their butts kicked, though. And who are they fighting? I think it's actually because they're fighting the Orc Boys all by themselves. So we're just gonna keep and see how it goes. We got our guys supporting them now. It's pretty high up. All right, let's see what happens. We shouldn't lose any of the We shouldn't lose the stack of hammers. So. Although I do see that a lot of these guys are flashing. That means they're about ready to break. About ready to run. They're fleeing. They're running. All the orcs run before the dwarves. That's how it should be. There we go. Flee before me. These orcs are really hanging on here. Oh, they're breaking. Get them. Keep on them. There we go. There we go. So that's not. That's a typical early battle. And then as you tech up, you'll get bigger and bigger units, and you'll have bigger and better things. Let's end the battle and see if my guy gained a level. I'm gonna show you the skill screen. I bet you he did. We didn't wipe out any of their units, but we crippled them pretty good. And except for our hammers, we didn't take too many losses ourselves. And our hammers killed 40 enemies, so they did really good. Our Quarrelers were, as usual, just a huge boon. I'm eager to get another couple Quarrelers in my army and then some more frontline melee guys to protect them, because Quarrelers are awesome. So now we won. We get some loot. just a little bit because it was a little army. But we can actually choose to release the captives and get another 348 to our treasury. Although our casualty replenishment rate will reduce a little bit while we're waiting for our guys to recover and recruit more guys to shore up any losses that we may have incurred in each unit. Or we can execute the captives and get +4 leadership. Now, +4 leadership is very important because you saw the orcs broke. We don't want our own dwarves to break. Even if they're losing in a fight, we want them to keep fighting because they hold the line so the quarrelers can do their job. But I think in this case, a little extra gold early in the game is... I'm going to pick that. Now he's going to flee, and he's going to be close enough now to the garrison there that it's going to be a little tougher to finish him off. But his troops are mostly done. And we have a lot of guys, so I probably could, but I think I'm going to wait and then get some more quarrelers. We completed this grudge, so we have no grudges, and we got 1,000 gold for our troubles. I found an item during the fights. Thorin Grudge Bearer found a Rune of Sanctuary, which gives him 30% magic resistance. It was automatically assigned to him because he didn't have an item in that slot previously. I got a new grudge. Capture and occupy the Pillars of Grunging. Well, I was gonna do that anyway because I want this whole province under dwarf control. All right, now that I've got this here, you'll see there's a little golden chevron above my troop, and he's ready to gain a level. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually click on this icon here. We can also click on the character details and go to the skills from here. Character details, here's all of his abilities, items, his traits. He provides an additional +5 with his aura, his leadership aura, because he's the High King. He's got the Rune of Sanctuary equipped, which is pretty awesome. He already had 25% magic resistance because he's a dwarf. So now he's like 55% magic resistance. Alright, let's go to skills. And every legendary lord and every hero and every lord type class has different skill trees. It's a lot of fun. So we can put our first point one of these three. This top row, as far as I know, universally means making this guy himself better. Bumping his stats up to Herculean levels. Inspiring Presence affects kind of the whole army across the board. For example, if I were to put a point here, his leadership aura, another +5, which would stack with his High King bonus I just showed you, and unlock things like Axe Lords, giving extra melee defense, and later melee attack for all dwarf warriors and miners, which is really going to be very powerful early in the game. Tactician, extra ammunition for quarrelers. Obstinacy. I don't know what that word even is. Obstinacy. Losing vigor. Vigor loss reduction. So my dwarves, as they're charging into fights, they're getting less tired. And then that leads to rally, and there's a whole tree of abilities leading to like these ultimate abilities towards the end. And along the top, you get some other cool things that only this legendary lord can get access to. For example, the quest for the Great Book of Grudges, which leads to like a cool item. The High King ability, which would give him a passive that would constantly affect all those around him, giving extra melee attack, charge bonus, more weapon damage, and immune to psychology like fear attacks. The Dragon Crown of Karaz would be an awesome item to get around level 18 that quest will unlock, and I can follow that quest and get this crown. Same with the armor, same with the axe. So for now, I think I'll put point in the Inspiring Presence because I kind of like the idea of him being the king, the High King, the leader. So let's do that. So there we go. That's that. We're gonna go here. We still have another turn for the barracks.
The High King.
If I were to attack right now,
Destroy them.
yeah. See, here's his broken army, and here's the garrison. I'm just gonna auto fight this one. A decisive victory. We didn't lose any full units. Loot gain another 130, and we're gonna just occupy. Not loot and occupy. We wouldn't get much money, and we would really hurt province instability and public order. We'd go to -30. Just occupy.
Fine.
And there we go. Regiment of Renown unlocked. This is a bonus because I have that one. Talked about that one DLC. So I can now get the Renown version of Dwarf Warriors, which are the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. All right, that's very cool. All Alright. And I completed this grudge and got another 5,000 gold. And I got a talisman. Ooh, ward. Ward save is nice. It's just a flat reduction in damage. So let's make sure that gets equipped on him.
Your
actually.
Dowie have been put to work fixing up the captured city, sire.
Excellent. Alright, so now I need to loot, raise, or occupy 3 different settlements. And he gained another level. Oh, look at that. Reward, Dragon Helm. Here, ooh, and a runesmith. Runesmiths are kind of like the dwarf mages. They don't have magic per se, but they can use runes to do some fun stuff. Win the battle. Okay, so this is a quest battle. I have to go over here and get this quest battle, but we'll get some cool stuff for it. There's never a shortage of things to do in this game. Let's level him up. +3 during interception subterranean battles. Axe Lord, Tactician. I think I'm gonna go with this. And by the way, you'll notice the next rank will not only give me another 4% ammunition, but it'll also give me 7% damage with Thunderers, Quarrelers, and Grudge Throwers, which is very cool. So now I've got the Pillars of Grumgi. Let's go ahead and upgrade this and build something here. I'm thinking the Trinket Maker for some extra income. That's what I'm thinking. Couple turns away on this. We're sitting pretty good there. So yeah, that's kind of the flow of the game, and I would just keep going from there. I actually will take a look at the units of renown though. These guys are very cool. Let's recruit them. Here we got them, and we can click on them and see the difference. Dwarf warriors, and then the units of renown. All right, so normal dwarf warriors have 5 extra armor, but they have 11 fewer leadership. They have 9 less melee attack and 10. You can see the little tabs are telling me the difference between the unit I have clicked and the unit I'm hovering over. See, so I've clicked this guy and I can compare him to a regular dwarf unit. Obviously, leadership's a little lower because they're wounded. Same with health, but their melee attack and their melee defense are quite a bit lower than the warriors of Dragonfire Pass, and they also seem to have gained anti-infantry as an ability. So they're very good against targets that are smaller than a horse, which is a big damage bonus. Otherwise, they're fairly similar. They just hit harder, have better defense, slightly less armor, but they're really good against infantry, which is great. It's amazing. All right. So anyway, that's just a quick look at Total War Warhammer, start to finish. I should have recorded this months ago. There's so much more to follow. There's like stances. There's so many things you can hover over to get so much more detail. It's just phenomenal. But if you click on stances, you can march, which gives you more movement, but you can't recruit. You get tired. You can't initiate battles, but if you get attacked, your units are all tired from marching, that sort of thing. You can ambush, which makes you vanish from the map, and if someone walks past you, you do an ambush on them. You can raid, which just makes you a giant nuisance that drains economy and adds to your own coffers. It reduces public order, it reduces growth. You can do encampment to replenish your troops faster and recruit globally. And you can, in the doors, have underway, and I think greenskins also do too, to tunnel under mountains and appear on the other side of a mountain range. But if you get intercepted, you have to do a subterranean battle, which is interesting. I love it. And different factions have different abilities here. They're not all the same. It's like I said, it's just incredible. So, all right, well, I will end it here. I hope you enjoyed this look at Total War Warhammer. I highly recommend it. It's my second game of the year. Number 1 strategy game of the year. So thanks for taking a look at this with me. And if you have any questions, feel free to pop in the comments and let me know. Thanks again.